Alright, this was a good test for the Lakers defense, and they passed, because they locked up a team that's been getting contributions from top to bottom. They set the tone by doing their work in the first, so the Grizz couldn't get into a rhythm early, and all they did was basically man up, so that forced the Grizz into a lot of ones. Everybody else just stayed body to body, so it was rare to see any overhelping, and I lost track of the amount of individual blocks they had on the night. But when they did show, or got into a scramble, at least the recoveries were quick for a contest, and all of this just stemmed from their effort. It was even showing on the way they chased over screens, and I could tell their defensive pressure had the Grizz rushing their play, because if it wasn't one of them getting locked up, it was a turnover from one of them either throwing a bad pass, getting sniffed out in the passing lanes, or getting caught in the air. If I had to choose a Laker for lockup of the night, it'd have to be Max Christie, because he held Ja to 2 of 11 with 4 turnovers in that matchup, and the biggest benefit of having that secure first line was just not having to rely on their second line as a crutch, so those low rotations were only necessary as a security blanket. But when it was required, it kept opening up the O-boards for the Grizz, and that was one of their main sources of offense, because the entire team was crashing, especially Edie. He was just too big inside, so he was eating on those putbacks, and the other constants on offense were either JJJ getting downhill on the trail, or more importantly, the whistles, because that was a part of them somewhat getting back into the game late in the third. Those combined with the Lakers' turnovers just started to compound in the last 4 minutes to give them some sort of life, and they carried the momentum over into the fourth to keep them within single digits. The whistles were really the only downside to the Lakers' defense, but at least they made the Grizz earn their points, and it was being matched on the other end, so that stretch was just a scare more than anything, because any advantage at the line got negated. That was one of the Lakers' main sources of offense, because the Grizz were just as good at taking away the paint per usual, and whenever any of them drove, there were always multiple bodies collapsing inside, or players in help positions, so those lays were diverted into sprays. They just couldn't convert from deep, and some of it was a mix of them settling, but they were able to make up for it by crashing the O-boards, getting quick buckets off their stops, or more importantly, by having Ant as their bailout. His jumper was on, so he was consistently getting a bucket, whether it was in the two-man game with Braun or Austin, on the inverted, or in his spots, and if it wasn't him killing the Grizz, it was their cuts, because they got a lot of backdoors. But for an off night offensively, at least they showed they can still win defensively, and that's important because they can control their level of effort when shots don't fall. Just watch the tape.
Davis open, 17 feet, nothing but net.